Okay. Yeah, I don't know that geography at all. There, I think we got it pretty good today.
Just trying to find it.
Ashley was telling me last night, not Ashley, Kent, he said, you had told Ashley a story about this shooting somebody's foot off, toe off a German. I didn't hear that story.
Didn't I tell you that? I was
No.
talking about a 40. I was talking to you about it the other day.
Well, you told me you fell asleep in
Oh, that
the, in
was
a house, got shelled, and then another time you fell asleep in a
on
in
our
a
way
ditch
to,
and
on our
you're.
way to Florence. They moved us to Florence. Firenze here.
Mm-hmm. You're in Firenze.
Florence, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Firenze is an Italian map. Passaro. Rimini. We ended in Rimini after the. Didn't.
You went right across Italy.
Well, we went from. Where was it? There's Roma.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the? What was the nome? Roma. Yes. Open the map right
You
up.
have to open it up there, yeah. And what happened with this guy in his foot?
Well, they just got taken prisoner. He got taken prisoner, of course. He got sent back to the. Our medicals took it, looked after him, and I guess they sent him back to the hospital somewhere.
So he was firing on you?
Yeah, he's just got his big toe. I thought I was telling you about it.
No. So what happened? You were walking across a field or something?
Or I was telling Kent, I guess. That's what it was the other day.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I'm not after. I was telling Kent. The day we were there for supper, we were talking about it. Well, no, we were going into, we were on, it was before the Gothic line, which was the main defense system the Germans had set up in the northern Italy before we got into the Po Valley.
It doesn't open anymore.
Oh, it won't open anymore? Oh, gosh.
You got to turn the map over.
Yeah, so here it is here.
Put that down so I can see the camera.
Napoli.
Mm-hmm. So you were down in southern Italy then, more.
Well, this is where we started. Our Avellino was the name of the place. No, what's the learn? That was the. This is where we landed when we were sent to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Landed in Napoli.
in Naples, yeah.
then-
First of March of '44, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
And up here on the west, there was a place called Avellino. That's where the Italian.
Oh, there it is, Avellino, right there.
No, not
Avigliano.
Here's Avellino right here.
Oh, Avellino. Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
There was an Italian army camp that they had taken over, and that was our
Your base.
well, the reinforcement depot, as they called it.
Mhm.
Now, where's the Canadians at that time had been in battle. They were bogged down in where the heck is it? Somewhere in the whole war effort for that winter. It was so wet and everything. Doggone, I can't even think of this. On the west coast here, on the east coast rather.
It was higher up.
Conquest of Sicily, I didn't get into that. Canadian Italy.
Anyway, tell me about this guy that you ended up shooting his toe off.
the Leary Valley. Ortona, that was Ortona, that's the place I'm talking about.
Oh,
That's where they got,
I don't see
they got
Ortona.
bogged down. That it wouldn't be here.
Ostuni,
No, it was further north.
Barry. What was the name of the valley?
The Leary Valley.
Leary Valley. Uh-huh. Let me have a look here at some other names before you turn the page.
I just want to look back here to see. Benjamin Street,
Ortona.
Ortona, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they got bogged down in the winter time for that winter.
Mm-hmm.
Tanks couldn't move. Reggio, can you see Reggio? Reggio, no, doesn't matter. We have maps in here that might show it better.
Oh, it's
Okay,
okay.
find it. It was anyway, and then the casino, the main defense system was casino, the old monastery that they had used as a. Well, we were in that, it must have been just north of here, the casino was.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't tell you here. Anyway, casino, and then we were out of action for a while. We did, I think it was Frosinone. We were up as far as Frosinone, and we sort of spent a month or so there before we went back into action. And we would do more training actually with live ammo and all that. And after the month or so, we went back here somewhere. We started going north again.
Uh-huh.
Roma. And then I don't know where we really started going into action, but we were all we're somewhere between Rome and here, and then the word came that they were going to take the Germans had said us. We were supposed to go to what they call the Po Valley, just where it starts anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Rimini. That's where we ended up after the battle of the Gothic line. They call it the Gothic line. This area was all one ridge of mountains. I can't remember the.
Here's the name here. Appennino, Umbra. I can't read it all.
That's in Italian.
There's several. Tosco, Milano Ridge, and then the Marchigone. Marchigino. Anyway, still want you to tell me about this guy what happened in that incident where he.
Well, we were in this area before we got into or maybe but it was after. Maybe we had been through I think we were actually through gone off past we were going like from Rimini, and we started. We were on our objective going to Ravenna actually. Mm-hmm. Must have been in this area or somewhere. Mm-hmm. or it could have been before that, I can't recall exactly, but times and well, anyway, our objective was to take this next. There was a farm. We were going through cross country, like through from one farm or following a road. I don't know the exact.
So you were almost hand to hand, almost.
Well, no, we were.
Not hand to hand, but
But I mean, if we were going to an objective, we have to. It was usually before daylight and late in morning, very early in the morning before daylight, so that we wouldn't be. They wouldn't see us coming, and just getting near this farmhouse or objective, and there was a shed there. It was kind of open. I guess it just had feed in it or something, hay or whatever. And next thing you know, that I could see, heard the firing, and I could see where the flashes were coming from. I just had I had a Tommy gun at that time. I just fired at the flashes. Suddenly there was a big house scream or something. And this guy came out and he got hit him in I don't know which toe it was, a big toe. Put him out of action.
so he surrendered.
Oh, of course.
Ah, just as well.
What is he gonna do? He couldn't.
Right.
He was in trouble.
Yeah, I imagine he lived many years after.
He was complaining how bad it hurt anyway. So.
In German or in English?
Oh, in German, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Screaming.
I guess you could understand a bit of what he was saying.
Oh, if he had spoken in German, yeah, I would have I can't remember exactly, but we weren't taking care of him. We just had to keep moving, and
But
the medics come and pick him up.
were you in that kind of action
Yeah,
much? Were being
we were
fired
in
on and
Oh yeah, this whole action through what the heck is the Gothic line? They should. I thought there was a picture of it all here.
so you were involved in that kind of action for quite a while.
Well, we went into the Gothic line. It was it was all this
House
here,
to
here
house.
we are here, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
overlooking Potenza, September. Well,
Calgary
that's-
Regiment.
Yeah, that was earlier. Though.
You were in the Calgary or the
No,
Edmonton? You were in the
I was
Edmonton.
PPCLI.
Uh,
Of the Leary Valley. This was before we got into the.
PPCLI of Edmonton Regiment? Or?
No, they had a. I think they had a. They were one of the older Canadian regiments that were in the First World War, the Second World War.
A lot of cemeteries there. How, of all the people who were with you, how many survived, or or percentage of
I
losses?
wouldn't know. Like when I joined the regiment, they were down from 90, what the company would be, and they're down to about 25 or something like that. That was after the Hitler line.
25 people
25, yeah. So,
down from 90. So they
yeah,
had
they
a
were
loss of.
either whether dead and wounded. I wouldn't.
That's a pretty big loss.
Yeah, and
personnel.
I met up with. Oh yeah, it was.
It's a pretty high risk
Yeah, it was
business.
high. Oh, definitely. There was 5,900, more than 5,900 war dead Canadians in the Commonwealth War. In Commonwealth War cemeteries, or commemorated on the Casino Memorial. It's all in here anyway. I just
Right.
copied it. It's just amazing how many different people, how many different groups that were in the of the Royal Canadian Army that you wouldn't never hear about.
Yeah, you don't hear about that. You
Wouldn't know about.
You see in the Hollywood films just
Yeah.
the D-Day and in Germany and France. You don't
Mhm.
see anything. Well, there's been a few movies I've seen about Italy, but
The only movie that I saw that had any realism to it Well, the kind of action I was in was there was an American film, but it was, what the heck they were trying to find this brother of some other American that was in that area. What the heck was the name of the film?
Was it Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. Saving Private Ryan, yeah.
That was pretty realistic.
That was as realistic as it could be. I mean, you'd go in and be going marching, the next thing you know, be fired on by a tank or a machine gun nest or something.
Yeah.
Have to duck for cover, and it was not like the old, not at all like the old First World War, with just what they call trench warfare.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We didn't have that. I mean, when we stopped somewhere, the first thing you did was dig yourself a little slitty, so deep enough so you could get covered if they start shelling or something or firing at you.
Right.
If you're going to be there for any length of time, you didn't want to be sitting out there in the open, because a lot of that country it was like it was being farmed or pasture land or whatever it was for sheep and.
But you did get wounded in the elbow, wasn't it?
No, I just got there should be a scar there.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
I was laying on my tummy, trying to keep myself under cover where we were at the last, I was just trying to figure out where we were at here. I can't remember the name of the little place. Bagnacavallo, that's what it is. Yeah, Bagnacavallo, that's the name of the place.
Mm-hmm. So this is where you got wounded?
This was up there, yeah. Gone through the, what they call the what do they call it, the Gothic line the Germans had set up. I can't remember the name of the river here that what the heck is they've got the big section in French here, there's more information than you can't, and then the Canadian section you can't see much. Oh, I have a book about it here, big, that's what I should have brought.
Anyway, so you got fired on and you flopped down and...
Well, yeah, we were not supposed to be in action. The first troop that go into action that morning with the company, with D Company was called, it was supposed to be their action, and they had taken a position like during the night they'd got into a house or something, whatever, and they were waiting for this time their action to go into action. They were all assembled, ready to go, and near enough to their position to take off position more or less. And I guess they got fired on and shelled by the Air-88s, a tank or something, or they had quite heavy casualties, I guess, and dead and wounded, I don't know. But anyway, then they called on our company. Well, we had to take over, but by that time we got there, it was into position while it was getting daylight. So we were all, no, we didn't go as a company. We were broken up into sections, and I was the leader of that particular section. Well, you go. You're the first to go in. I was going down. It was a far field. Like there was every maybe from here to my apple tree or a little further there'd be a row of grape trees.
Right. Grapevines, yeah.
Going down there, yeah. We're going along and heading for this. There's a house in the background. That was our objective. A house, a farmstead actually. And going along, and suddenly on my left, I could hear something rattling. Like somebody's trying to
Load a gun.
Load their machine gun.
Right.
So I must have jammed on him, and he was pulling his bolt back to get it going again. And I thought, oh God, there's a slit trench there. There's a whatchamacallit, a guy in there. Must be. So I saw that.
Sniper?
Yeah, it'd be not a sniper, but we could call it a sniper.
A what?
could call him a sniper, I guess, but he's just a, what did we call
It was like an ambush anyway.
Well, no, they were just there. We would always put up people like that too, and we were on
A guard.
a guard type
Yeah.
of thing. Well, he wasn't. The house was another 100 yards down from there,
Right.
where the rest of their team was. I guess it was. And, well, anyway, the guy's head popped up, and I don't know whether he's going to take a run or what he was going to do. And next, and they down, and next thing, the time his head popped up, I fired. Didn't see him again, but I guess that alarmed the guys were at that house.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I saw was guys jumping off. There was a tank come in there, moved into back there, and I couldn't see it where he went to. And a couple of guys jumped into a slit trench they had there, and then the first thing you know, there was machine guns that opened up at us. And fortunately, there was whoever farmed it had turned up a furrow, like there was just, well, I guess it wouldn't have been any higher than that, and it was laying on top of the sod.
Mm-hmm.
And I got down as close as the sod was turned up from there, and I just laid down as close as I could, and had I guess my elbow was sticking up, and felt that. Oh gosh, it hit me. It felt really like a big. Yeah, I could feel it. I mean, more just a bang. I had no idea what it was. But in the meantime, one of the guys I'd been with, I could see when he got hit in the head, I think, or somewhere. He died right there shortly after. But anyway, I wasn't too far from the edge of there was a roadway or trail or something there with a fairly deep ditch there. And I managed to get into it and take off. When the firing stopped, I made a run for it to get into the road. And, I can't remember. Before long, I guess our takeoff point where our company commander and all his group weren't too far away, and somebody was there before long and to see what was going on. And I crawled back in that ditch for a ways, water in it, and I told them what had happened and where that I'd seen this tank and these other two guys, a couple of guys with a machine gun out there at that farmhouse. That's where all the firing was coming from. So I was going back. They took me back to the headquarters there and put me in an ambulance, medics look after me, and put me in an ambulance and took me to. Well, I think they called it 8th Field General at Perugia, I think it was. Mm-hmm. I was in there I guess just for. It wasn't a serious wound, but I guess they were just afraid of infection.
Yeah, being in a ditch full of water wouldn't have done it any good.
But then we were in, after, I think I was in there, but I think they had me in the hospital for a couple of weeks anyway. And then, not too long after, then they sent me to a convalescent depot, they called it, I guess. And it was an old, can't remember the name of the place now. It was a favorite holiday spot, or people come. It was a hot springs there actually. Mm-hmm. People would come there from far and wide, I guess, to bathe in these hot springs during the peacetime. I think it was my 21st birthday, if I'm not mistaken, when I was in there. No, it had to be later. Had to be later than that. birthday was in February. This was in March, 1st of March, or just before the end of February, rather.
Well, but it's pretty close to your 21st birthday.
Yeah.
Maybe on the way there.
And anyway, the message came through that our Canadian forces were going back to Northwest Europe. I mean, this had been ongoing for some time. The general staff were very they didn't like the idea that there were 2 divisions in Italy and 3 divisions in Northern Europe of Canadian troops, which under separate commands,
Yeah.
not a Canadian commander. So they finally got the word that, oh yeah, we'll go ahead and you can be a Canadian army in Northwest Europe.
Right.
So they shipped us all out, and it was right on the 1st of March again. We left 1 year to the day that I arrived there we left there. Got onto an American troop ship and took us to what do we call it? Down to southern France there.
Southern France.
Yeah, right, southern France.
Biarritz.
No, it's a big, very well-known place with the devil.
Oh, on the Atlantic coast or the Mediterranean coast?
It's on the It's on the Mediterranean. Yeah.
Cannes? Anyway,
It's a big. Anyway, we waited there for several days,
uh-huh.
and for transport to go to Northwest Europe.
Right. This is Italy. Probably won't show anything.
No, it wouldn't show that there.
Nice.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I always forget the name of it. It's well known.
Yeah.
Well known.
Marseille? No.
Marseille, that's
Yeah,
the one.
Marseille.
Yeah, Marseille. There was a big, as I remember, there was a big concentration camp there. They had German prisoners in it. We weren't too far from it, but waited. I don't know how long we waited. There were several days anywhere. Next thing you know, there was a big train of long train boxcars.
Yeah.
So we got all piled into these boxcars. So many guys in each boxcar. They're a bit smaller than the ones in Canada.
Right.
I think it was 40 guys in each boxcar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we went across France into Belgium, and that's where some little town called Ants was where we stopped, where they took us off and took us to wherever. I don't remember how many days we were traveling from Marseille up into Belgium, but just don't remember the time. I mean, everything was set up so that every so often the train would stop and we'd all get out and have whatever, something to eat. We didn't have provisions on the train because we were in boxcars. We'd all get out and I guess in each so many guys, and then you keep going and get out of the way until they get everybody fed, and off it would go again.
You told me you were in Nijmegen.
Yeah, we marched through Nijmegen. We didn't, or maybe no. I think maybe we were. No, I don't think we marched. We were lucky. Drove through on back of trucks that they.
Oh, I see. So, did you go into action there? Too?
Yeah, we had about 2 or 3 weeks of action in Holland for the end of the war.
Whereabouts in Holland were you in action?
Well, we were going. The heck was the name of that place? Barneveld. Barneveld was the name. We were in a little town called near Barneveld.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess more or less up in the center of Holland, somewhere in the middle of Holland.
Was it much the same as the action in Italy then?
Oh yeah.
Going house
Yeah.
to house sort of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, more or less, yeah.
Right.
Because they were there, Germans were in there before us, they had everything, they always had their positions.
So then, at the end of the war, what happened? You went back to England, or?
No, we stayed in Holland for all. We had three choices at that time. We could either go into occupation forces into Germany,
Mm-hmm.
or you could sign up for the Far East War, go to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
then you'd get sent back fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just wait until you, if you didn't want to do either of those, you just had to wait there. We were just billeted in Holland for the summer.
Right.
I think it was October sometime before we finally got moved. Got sent to England, and then from there we got on a ship and
So you decided to go home.
I decided I didn't want to go into any more.
I think you had enough.
Yeah.
Year and a half almost.
I didn't want to go to. It didn't appeal to me to go to into North or Korea, into the Pacific War at all.
No.
My brother Lloyd, he decided he wanted to go. He had only just come to Northwest Europe. He was a year younger than me, myself, and I don't think how long I don't remember how long he had been in. I think in Europe. Well, he was with with the Edmonton Regiment. He went with got into the Edmonton Regiment because they were part of our what were we called? What did they call us? The first div. They were in the first
Were you in contact with him?
No, never did get
This all.
everything.
You learned all this after the war.
Yeah.
When you came home.
Yeah.
Where he'd been.
Yeah.
Well, did you have letters home? Were you in touch with?
Oh yeah. We're lots of always getting letters. Yeah.
Your mom must have been really, and your parents, all their boys going off to war. Herb was in the war.
Yeah, he was in there. He went through. He was in the artillery. He went to 17th Field Regiment. Went to Sicily. Went through right from Sicily, right from the beginning, right through to. I think it was in the Hitler line.
Mm-hmm.
A broken eardrum.
And of course, Bob and Elmer weren't old enough to.
No, they were young, too young for that.
Right. So when you came back, you went back to, you come straight out to Courtney, or did you?
No, just to Edmonton, Hay Lakes, yeah.
So you corresponded with Mom during the war?
Yeah, I was corresponded with my family, with some of my aunts that lived in Wetaskiwin.
Uh-huh. And then you came back to Hay Lakes, and how long were you there before you came out to the Courtney?
Well, see, to let you. I was there I came out I think I got back in October.
What year?
Of 45, I guess it was. Yeah, that's the war ended in spring of 45, didn't it? In May, was it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was October or late September, whichever it was. Could have been late September. Yeah. Because I remember I got in a little bit of helped out in the threshing and that was going on then, the harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I didn't get demobbed until the early part of December, I guess, when I had to go back to Calgary to get what they call demobilization.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then they tried to talk me into staying in and joining up and be permanent part of the regiment, and I thought, no, I don't think I've had enough. I don't want to be.
That's all. Right. I guess so. See. So
'Cause it
then,
wasn't. Yeah. Because in the meantime, you see, during the, it would have been in the. Yeah, it would have been fall of. Yeah, this would have been. Because Maxine and her family, they still lived in Bluffton. And she was home by then, I guess. She was in the army as well, of course. If you know. She was just a. She never got overseas. She was in Ottawa.
right.
She said she had a. I can't remember the name of the major. He was in. Her job was he had the unit she was in. They got all the information about the wounded and killed in action, and she says. So she said. She always looked to see if my name was on the list that came in, I guess. But her family after us, they I don't know how they got in touch with us. Oh yeah, there was a relative of Grandpa's, Delmer Nedley. He was a plumber, and he was living in Courtney here at that time, I guess, or something. And I guess after the war, I mean, things opened up. There was lots of construction going on, housing and for the troops and all this. And he was told us how good it was for work and for carpentering, and well, Les had always kind of I guess he had worked on. He did quite a bit of work on when they were building barracks and stuff like army camps and all this other stuff during the war, and he thought, well, that's a good idea. And Roy was in doing carpentry work, and he liked cabinet work and stuff. And well, I don't know what he was doing while they were in Alberta, but when they got to Courtney, they lived on 10th Street. He got together with fellow Floyd Conroe, and they sort of partnershiped, and I guess they built a new house for themselves, and there was lots of housing being built at that time. They helped were doing I don't know exactly what they. There were smaller houses, like the house they built, that house that we lived in up there on the highway. And that was more or less the style of houses right after the war, smaller houses. And so that they had moved to Courtney then, but so that's how come I came to Courtney, because Maxine had come here, or her family was here. So.
Right. Yeah. So you came out here and you started. You weren't carpentering at first?
No, I spent the first winter, I don't know exactly when, up maybe 6 months or more, I guess. I worked for Bramwell and Mason as the car dealership. Dodge DeSoto dealer. Doing the front end service and all that. Well, while I was in training during the war, like in Calgary, before I got after basic, and then there was what do they call that? Training that they sent you from Calgary to Curry Barracks, and from Camrose to Curry Barracks. The basic training camps in other different towns, but then after Curry Barracks, they send you to Calgary. That's for, what the heck do they call it? More training anyway. There's a different term for it. I can't remember what the heck.
Like a specialized training.
Well, yeah, more advanced. Yeah, you start using live ammunition and all that stuff. And basic training, well, you just learn to march and do your
Right.
how to drill type of thing, and
So did you have some mechanical training in that?
well, I got into a chance to go to a driver training, as they call it,
Mm-hmm.
driving the trucks around and going out. I don't know. Well, we were. I guess I was there from. I don't know, I can't remember just the time when we were gone. I must have been there 6 months or more, because we left Calgary in December. I think it was just before the end of November, beginning December, somewhere or another. I think we landed in Liverpool I think it was December the 10th or something like that, so I recall. Got shipped to Aldershot from there by train.
Mm-hmm. But because of that mechanical experience, you got the job with this, in the garage there.
Well, yeah, I've had no, not that didn't really enter into it, but I guess because I'd grown up on the farm with machines anyway, and
Oh, yeah.
worked for Uncle Percy and all this when he had his machines on the tractors, rather.
So they had gasoline powered tractors when you were growing up? Or
Yeah. Oh yes. Yep. Yeah.
well, there must have been some steam powered stuff around
No,
still.
no, they didn't use that much for. The steam era had pretty well passed by then. Yeah, there were steam engines still around, old ones just laying around that weren't being used any longer.
Right.
I remember there was a big one on the Green farm, because they had a big threshing outfit apparently when all the boys were home, and because Grandma Green, the Green, like your mom's family, her brothers, I think it was about three or four of them went over in the First World War. Went over to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
One or two of them got killed, and a couple more one was gassed, and another one had been wounded, and before they got home.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember. Dwight is the only one that could maybe tell you about this.
Yeah,
He might know all the
I've
details
got a
about that.
photocopy of a history of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, saying who it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. Dwight sent me that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just curious to hear about your life here in
Yeah.
the valley before when I was little.
Yeah. Well,
I don't remember
I got
too much.
working with. Well, when I first came to the valley, well, I just where am I going to stay? Well, found Maxine and her family, and
Mm-hmm.
said, well, you can stay here. So I stayed there for,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, until we were married.
Mm-hmm.
Les and his friend, partner Conroy, they built this house up on the highway there by Sunnydale. We bought that. VLA actually bought the house, paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to pay that VLA back, but the payments were very low, and
I thought they built it for a wedding present for you guys.
No, it wasn't a wedding present. It was through VLA, Veterans Land Act.
Mm-hmm.
The government set up for. They bought the property and with house and property, and that was it. And I had to pay it back, but the payments were very low, and at that time the interest rates were low. They gave us especially low interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only paid for the total. The house and property was, I think, $7,500 or something like that in those days. What? You weren't earning much anyway.
No.
$1.50 an hour. If you got $1.50 an hour to begin with, that was good.
Yeah.
And it took many years before it doubled. The wheat scale doubled, and. I I think I was working up at the, yeah, well, they wanted so much a month and the payments were low, you could handle that easily enough. And I think I was working up there at Utah Mines or at Port Hardy. Was it Utah? Or Island Copper, anyway, whatever. Island Copper, I guess it was. Utah Mines were in there once. These guys, the mining company might have been Utah Mines, but the whole project was called Island Copper.
Wasn't that Gold River?
Yeah, no, up Port Hardy way.
I don't remember you working in Port Hardy. I guess
You were working there in some logging company.
Yeah, but you were in Gold River building.
No, Port Hardy. Got to go through Port Hardy to get to, what the heck's the name of the town on toward the coast, up on
Cole Harbor.
Cole Harbor, past. But they were down on the Rupert Inlet, actually.
Oh, I see.
They were on Rupert Inlet.
Yeah, I see. I knew you weren't in Port Hardy, but you were over on it.
Port Hardy.
Yeah.
Rupert Inlet is where the mine was.
But that was later on when. So what happened then?
Well, you were working in Gold River at the time.
Yeah, I was. No, I worked in Port Hardy.
Yeah, Port Hardy, rather. Yeah.
That was 1971.
71.
70 and 71.
70 and 71.
Yeah. So I left in 72 to go to Africa. Not long after Jeanette died. Well, I guess I was there and I left in 72, maybe in Christmas. I guess I worked up in Port Hardy that 1972, yeah. Jeanette died in the fall of 72, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, before Christmas, in December.
Yeah, that's right. And I left a few weeks later. I remember I spent Christmas in London.
Oh yeah.
And then I was in Haifa on New Year's. But why were you telling me about that? Did you pay the house off then? Is that when the house got paid off? Or?
Well, yeah, they said, well, rather than carry on with monthly payments, they said they'd be happy to see me pay it off because the wages were better and all that in those days.
Well, that was a lot of years later.
Well, yes.
Gee,
it was a long-term agreement. You'd only have to pay so much a month, and it was a very small amount, so it was taking so long to.
Oh, I see.
I guess they wanted to
get
it cleared up, so I paid it off.
I see.
Well, I thought it was late. When was I in? I thought I was in.
You're up there in Gold River, or Port, that area, around 1970.
I thought it was later on in 70.
71, 72. So I came back, I was working for Lloyd Park. I came back here in the spring of 1971. I immediately got a job with Lloyd Park next door.
Oh yeah.
And that lasted about 6 or 8 months. One day he come out all upset. That's it. Everybody's go home. Collect your paycheck. That's it. We're finished. We're done. Oh, okay. So then I needed a job. Well, I boarded your truck and I went up to Port Hardy. I knew a Baha'i there. Can't remember her name. Unfortunately, I went into Manpower and they said, well, you have to be a resident here to apply up here. I said, well, I've got a local address. I used her address. And we parked outside her house there for a couple of days. You gotta go?
I have to go to Maxine, or not Maxine, Fredo, to do some shop.
Anyway, because I had that address and because I'd worked in a car shop in Calgary, I got offered a job at O'Connor Logging as a mechanic's helper.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was it, yeah. Okay, well, we'll continue.